Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be going over the significant change that is upon us. We are going to be addressing the new reserve currency. We are going to be talking about quite a bit of things. So with that in mind, if you guys have been enjoying the channel, maybe you guys are even new here, definitely hit that like button. We are going to go over a substantial amount of information, so hopefully by the end of this video you guys did enjoy, and definitely hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. But with that being said, let's start off with this tweet here from Digital Asset Investor. So he is quoting Chad Steingraber. Now I do have a few tweets open from Chad himself, and we have addressed quite a bit of things around a new reserve currency. A lot of people expect the dollar to pretty much die overnight, but it's not going to be the case, right? This has been something that's been brewing for almost 100 years. I think it's been around like roughly 95 years. I might be wrong on that, don't quote me, but anyways, it's right around the 90 to 100 year time frame that the dollar has been the reserve currency. We are starting to see a lot of conflict in the world, and usually guess what? We need the conflict in order to have a new reserve currency emerge, and I'm going to go over that and address why in a second. But first off, yeah, nothing lasts forever, 100 years. And we do see here the dollar has had a 100-year run as the world's reserve currency, but a new class of contenders is rising. And listen, I don't think that it has been 100 years. The last time that I looked at this, I think it was like right around roughly 94 years. And that was probably roughly about a year ago when that article got posted. But we are coming up on the timeline. I do think that time is running out for the US. I think that we will see something emerge that might not be a reserve currency. And I've talked about this many times in the past as well, where we don't need a reserve currency. Instead, we have a global bridge currency that is decentralized. Now, we do see over here there will be a flip of the switch moment, an avalanche that cannot be undone. And this got posted by IB Croc over on Twitter. There is two tweets from him that I have, or from her. I hope that I'm not assuming someone's gender, but nonetheless, there is two tweets by them. The first one is BRICS have already overtaken the G7 in global share of GDP per Jim Rickards. The latest intel is that 60 nations will attend the BRICS summit. Russia, China, and the global South are lining up against the G7. Animated chart G7 versus BRICS by GDP, PPP. Watch the progression and check this out. So here is the timeline. This goes all the way back to 1992, by the way. And here we have 2028. They are forecasting that the G7 will actually be less than the BRICS in GDP. So this is definitely interesting. And the craziest part about all of this is that gold accumulation. So Megan actually posted this. What do you see? This pretty much says it all. August 22nd, BRICS. Yeah, that's when we get the meeting with the BRICS, of course. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of news that comes from that meeting this month. Definitely stay tuned to that. But here we have, this pretty much says it all. August 22nd, BRICS, gold accumulation, BRICS versus G7. And we see the official gold reserves from the BRICS versus the G7. And this is concerning, considering the fact that when you actually look at when the BRICS started to really kind of accumulate gold, it was back in like 2010. So they were preparing for this this entire time. And we also do see gold holdings as a percentage of total total reserves. And you can see the BRICS versus, of course, the G7. The G7 started to kind of diminish a little bit here while the BRICS continue to rise. And it's because of how much gold accumulation the BRICS have been doing. China is one of the largest accumulators of gold. We don't know if they are going to disclose their gold reserves. A lot of people actually think that they do, but they really don't disclose too much information on that. They're not very transparent with it. But for the most part, the other nations that are tied to the BRICS have been very, very transparent around how much gold they are accumulating and how much gold reserves they do have. Now, also recently, we've seen this announcement, which was BRICS. India makes first oil payment to the UAE in rupees. Very interesting here. Because again, as more and more nations turn away from the US dollar to trade oil, it's going to continue to put a lot of constriction on the US dollar as a reserve currency. One of the biggest nations that we are focused on in terms of trading oil and moving away from the US dollar is Saudi Arabia. You guys know about the petrodollar deal. Once that is gone, which a lot of people have already associated with it, with Saudi Arabia, they've already said, guess what? The petrodollar deal is dead. That got a lot of traction back in, I want to say August of last year, leading up until December of this year. Or December of last year, sorry, and even into January of this year. And one of the craziest things that I look at with Saudi Arabia is a full-on announcement of the petrodollar deal being done, because when that does get announced, and if it does get announced, watch out, because the US dollar, as we know it, will most likely take a big hit. Now, of course, I've talked about the BRICS, and I've talked about how this could very well be a major retail psyop. Meaning we are getting distracted by this big problem that's out there. And guess what? They already have the solution. Now, one of the biggest things that I've been focused on around what's happening is digital tokens. So do you see over here, Megan's posting this. Now, this whole video is in Russian, I believe. And we do see the translated version of this. 13 major banks starting tomorrow, August 15th. So this is literally yesterday, using the digital ruble. And we do see BRICS digital currencies backed by gold will begin trading oil. So this is very interesting to see how things will play going forward. But this is definitely significant because we are starting to see a major push towards digital tokens. The question is, how will all of these be settled, right? We know a few ways, but one of the biggest things that I focus on is the need for a bridge currency. See, to me personally, I think that we are about to see a major war happen, and it's not going to be one that everyone is assuming. I think that we are going into a financial war where, whoever is first to the race in terms of, getting an actual digital currency out there is going to be the winner. And it seems as though the BRICS have been having this plan for a very long time, and don't let it go unnoticed that the US is just going to sit around and let it happen. The US has been moving pretty quickly as well. I know through all the smoke and mirrors that they've been, really kind of giving us, they haven't given us too much information, but recently we know that the digital dollar is being worked on. It's planned. They've already concluded the research on it. The FedNow service is essentially the infrastructure for CBDC in the US. And then also going back to March of 2022, we know that the US had an executive order to start research and developing a US CBDC. As we do see the digital ruble get adopted by these 13 banks, the question is, are we about to see something like what Chad is saying over here in terms of the flip the switch moment, where all of a sudden all of these nations have their CBDC launch? Because in my opinion, that's what the flip of the switch moment is. It's not some, flip of the switch moment where XRP is going to some crazy price. No, it's the world turning into a digital world, especially around finance. And the craziest thing about all of this is the connections to BRICS with Ripple. For those that don't know and are not aware of this tweet here, I'm actually going to retweet it. I've had it in my bookmarks for a very long time, and it's from Kevin Cage. Shout out to Kevin Cage on Twitter and also on YouTube. He broke this down in May of 2022 when we start to see the BRICS becoming a major spotlight after the sanctions against Russia, and Russia really kind of fighting back in terms of the financial war that was going on. And here we have the company Ripple and XRP sure have a lot of connections to the BRICS nations. Here's a quick example of each country. Feel free to add more below. And before we jump into this, I also want you guys to understand that through India, we found out that the BRICS are really kind of working with the G20. And it seems as though this entire, like all of these headline articles are kind of coordinated to make us believe that the BRICS are really ahead of us, that we need to launch digital tokens, we need a CBDC, and ultimately speaking, this is all on par with the Great Reset of finance. And the Great Reset is us ushering into a digital age, but they can't do that without an accelerant. How can they accelerate this? Well, the best way to do it is, hey, guess what? We're losing against Russia. We're losing against, these other nations. We need to do something. That's how they're going to usher it in. Remember, right? The pandemic, for a lot of people that don't know, what the WEF said, the World Economic Forum, what they said was cash is dirty. We need digital currencies. We need CBDCs. They utilized it as an example. And now we have the BRICS expanding rapidly. We are seeing their digital tokens being adopted heavily by major banks. And guess what? Now the US needs to do it. It's going to play perfectly into the solution. Now, of course, with all of these major connections, we have Brazil. Brazil was meeting with Ripple, with the central bank. Ripple launched operations in Brazil in 2019, partnering with banking giants such as Santander and Bradesco, and also Banco Rendimento. We know that they also recently partnered with Travelex Bank, and they've been making a lot of noise in Brazil. Russia, XRP Owl, IOV Owl, I believe he goes by now, over on Twitter, found that the Central Bank of Russia tests XRP in multinational payment systems. Also, from last month, that is Sberbank, Russia's largest lender, which just received a license from the central bank to issue digital assets to clients. India, former governor of the Reserve Bank of India, spoke at Ripple's 2019 swell. Tata Indian is a Ripple partner and on Hedera's governing council. China, Ripple met with the People's Bank of China. Also dLocal, huge Ripple partner connected to Alipay and WeChat, over 1 billion users, plus Tencent and Ant Financial. South Africa, Mercury to boost remittance time and money savings to South Africa using on-demand liquidity. Also Zago, founded in South Africa, issued on XRP Ledger. Egypt joins BRICS, NDB. National Bank of Egypt, Egypt's largest bank, joins Ripple Network for cross-border payments. National Bank of Egypt and Lulu International Exchange connect through RippleNet to elevate remittance experience into Egypt. $24 billion inflows. There are dozens of central banks and other countries that have deep ties to Ripple. And here they all are. As we look at what Ripple is doing, right? And by the way, we do see down here, like, how about Tranglo using XRP into China? How about Ripple posting a CBDC job in India? How about Ripple stating 80% of banks in India are already on RippleNet? And the list goes on and on, sir. Sorry. Let's go. And yeah, like, as we really kind of look at this, I've said it before, right? Like, the way that I look at the world and how the world is really kind of leaning, it seems as though we are on the brink of a massive move. That massive move is away from fiat-based payments and money in terms of like physical dollars, and it's a push towards digital CBDCs. And I've talked about this over on Twitter as well. For those out there that are, leaning towards the idea of like, oh, CBDCs are this, CBDCs are that. Listen, I feel for you guys. I said I have my problems with CBDCs as well, but to justify that society already isn't heavily controlled by money is crazy to me. This year, we've seen banks closing accounts due to political views. Also, PayPal was a major name in canceling free speech and closing accounts too. CBDCs aren't some welcome mat for central banks that control you and everything you do. The world runs on money today and will continue to. I have my own concerns with CBDCs, but I also welcome private players like Ripple using decentralized tokens like XRP being involved to hopefully alleviate some of these concerns. Mixing decentralization with centralization could be beneficial for the retail sector. Either way, CBDCs are already here. They are already happening. This idea that we can now fight back is ridiculous. Where was the outrage 5 to 10 years ago? Now we have 90% nations experimenting with / planning to launch CBDCs. It's inevitable at this point. And, as we do look at things happening, like, I want to go to this video here. This got posted by IB Croc over on, again, Twitter. Black Swan Capitalist, I'm so used to saying BlackRock, informs Robert Kiyosaki, greatest US investor, about XRP. It's undeniable that governments around the world are orchestrating a move for some sort of unified cross-border reserve currency payment settlement system, and it's XRP. And this is exactly what I mean when we talk about what's happening with BRICS. Right? Like, they are not going to openly say, hey, how does everyone like a unified cross-border reserve currency payment settlement system? Let's launch it. No, they need to create a problem. They need to create this big issue. And then all of a sudden, we have everyone react. It's problem, reaction, solution. So the problem is here. The reaction has been happening for well over a year. As we see, I mean, think about this logically, right? So for a whole year, we've had this outrage. It's actually like a year and a half now. We've had this whole outrage with the BRICS, with Russia and the Ukraine, with the US as well. During this entire time, we have seen the FedNow service launch. We have seen multiple CBDCs and CBDC experiments. We've seen the BIS joining forces with major names, even Ripple. We have seen the G20 working with the FSB, the IMF, the BIS, with, of course, the FSB on global crypto regulations. Meanwhile, Ripple continues to expand with major names like the ISDA, for example, talking about crypto derivatives. All of this is happening while all of this major news is coming out around the BRICS and Russia and the Ukraine. And I always say the biggest distractions will happen at a time where the biggest shift is taking place behind the scenes. And I do think that this is all to launch this unified cross-border reserve currency payment system. And listen, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the one that's crazy, but I do think that with all of these connections that just got outlined to you from Kevin Cage, and trust me, I made recent videos talking about this as well and breaking down a lot of the other connections. I do think that it's pretty much confirmed that XRP, being as significant as it is around a bridge currency status, I do think that XRP will 100% play a vital role and become a pillar in the new financial system that is dominated by digital tokens, digital currencies, tokenized values of assets like even banking reserves. I do think that XRP is a crucial piece of the puzzle. And I do think that for those out there that really kind of see this, understand it. And listen, even in the short term, if you are going to only focus on price action of XRP, you will be completely shocked by what is coming next, because all of this is leading up to a big boom. And if it is a flip of the switch event, which I do think that the flip of the switch moment is, I think that this is already confirmed. Listen, we've already seen the Federal Reserve talking about this many times in the past as well, talking about, some sort of big moment to really kind of move towards a new efficient system. Almost every single organization has been talking about something similar like that as well. This video that I'm about to play is very significant in the way that it really kind of just addresses what's happening right now. And I don't think a lot of people are focused on this. I do think that there's going to be a flip of the switch moment, an event to really kind of usher us into this digital age of finance. And I do think that that's when all of these utility tokens, including XRP, are going to be crucial pieces of the global financial system. And that's when we will start to see a lot of this technology being utilized at mass scale. A lot of people are looking at XRP as just a token. You need to look at XRP as not just a token, but also as a technology, a piece of technology that is vital for the health and the efficiency of a global digital financial system in a cross-border reserve currency payment settlement system. So check this video out. I'm going to run it. It's about 1 minute and 20 seconds long.
It's undeniable that governments around the world are orchestrating intricate moves behind the scenes, meticulously paving the way for some sort of unified cross-border reserve currency payment settlement system. As this is unfolding, the scenario, there's a specific technology my brother and I talk a lot about. It's called XRP, and we see it emerging as a formidable contender to the United States reserve currency dollar because it has the liquidity potential to face global debt head on, and it could actually be the antidote to the bank's insolvencies worldwide and level the playing field that would usher in this new era of international monetary dynamics.
I'm afraid I've never heard of XRP. And I'm really old-fashioned. I own gold mines and silver mines.
Mm-hmm.
And
physical assets.
We love that.
This is money all over the world.
100%.
This is silver. So I also have storehouses outside of America, outside the banking system.
Mm-hmm.
So ladies and gentlemen, all I'm saying here is XRP might work for your generation.
So yeah, I mean, as we really kind of look at things and we really kind of look at the world of finance as well, you know, one thing that I've always said on this channel is that, you know, I do think that we should own physical gold and silver as well. But I do look at XRP as a significant piece. I've always said it. It's the number one reason why I talk about XRP is because I believe in what's happening. I've connected the dots. I've done so much research. I've looked into almost every single major connection with Ripple. I've looked at everything happening around the world, especially in terms of finance and, you know, the problems that plague the world of finance. We know the traditional system is broken. We know that they're trying to usher in a new financial system to answer to those pain points. And I do think that everything that we are seeing leading up to now, all of these major events, every single headline article, everything happening with the BRICS, it's all building up. The pressure is building up for a big moment in time around the world of finance. And let it be known that these CBDCs are decentralizing the reserve currency status, and what will be demanded is a global bridge currency. That's why when we look at this idea of a unified cross-border reserve currency payment settlement system, XRP is 100% crucial to that. And within that, you will have a decentralized financial system where every single nation has their own CBDC and every single nation is accountable for their own actions. Meaning if the US dollar, right, the digital US dollar gets printed into oblivion by the central bank like we know that they have done for years and years and years, guess what? It doesn't hurt Russia. It doesn't hurt China. It doesn't hurt any of these other nations besides the US, because guess what? There is no reserve currency. And I do think that that is what we are building up to. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely hit that like button, subscribe, to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.